Hello, welcome to my podcast. My name is Piper Merrill. This is Behavioral Brilliance. I'm so glad you're here to join me. Hopefully, you've been able to see some of my former podcasts. I have about 9 out there right now. I'm quite excited. It's been so fun. So my podcast is an educational podcast. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner. I've been in pediatrics healthcare for 30 years, and I've been a pediatric nurse practitioner for 20. I've worked in all various ages, various departments of healthcare for pediatrics. But I am currently in a general pediatric practice in McKinney, and I'm loving being back in pediatrics, just general peds. So my passion is mental and emotional health for children. And so trying to help parents learn for themselves, right? Mental and emotional health, how to get healthy, how to learn skill sets for life that'll keep us healthy mentally and emotionally, and then how to teach that to our children young. I think we all know, and I've said this on other podcasts, we're really at a 911 with behavior. And I think many times it's because we've not really talked a lot about our emotions and our thoughts and behavior because it feels very personal. I think we don't understand it many times. I think we're all kind of puzzled by people's behavior, by our own behavior. Why did I act that way? Where did that come from? And so that's my goal, is that let's demystify some of that behavior and let's figure out, where does our behavior come from? And then how can we teach children how to manage their thoughts and emotions in order to control their behavior? So that's my goal of the podcast. Today we have a fun topic. It's called the power of our words. And I say it's a fun topic. It's not really a fun topic. Because I think this is something I've struggled with for years. I would have people say, watch your words. Don't say that. And I never really understood what they meant by that. So it's been a learning process for me because I do want to grow. I do want to learn. I know my words, all of our words, affect the environment that we're in. We put out energy with words, right? Words do create. They create energy, whether that be positive or negative. They create feelings in people, right? Words create feelings in ourselves. When we say something, it does something to our emotions. It does something to our own thinking. So it's important. Words are powerful. So one of my favorite life coaches, and now he's my pastor at Elevate Life Church, says, your life will follow your words. When I first heard that, it kind of scared me because I realized I grew up in I love my parents. You've heard on my podcast, I've given a little bit of my testimony about my life and growing up. But it was negative. Both my parents grew up in negative homes, and their conversation and their reacting in life circumstances was pretty negative. So when you grow up in an environment that the conversation's pretty negative, there was a lot of anger. Now, there was a lot of positive there as well. But of course, sometimes the negative tends to stand out and really make an impact in our lives. So I think my words, even as an adult, sounded negative, sounded harsh at times. And I wasn't aware of where that came from until I started learning and evaluating. My heart in a lot of what I would say was that I want to be authentic. I don't want to be fake. So if someone says, how are you? I'm not going to say I'm blessed or I'm fine if I'm not. So I would want to share what I was really feeling and thinking. And so I've learned, yes, there are people that you can be safe with and you can say exactly what you're feeling and thinking. But most of the time, we just need to have self-control. And I can say things as, I'm good. Things are kind of tough, but I'm good. So in a positive, we'll go over all that. Something I want to say is, words, we know this, they create, right? So I think it's important for parents to recognize how we speak to kids, how the words that we choose. You're parenting in the moment by moment stressors of life. We got to have self-control because, I even had a couple come in. They have a new baby. The baby looked to be about 6 months old. I was actually seeing the 2-year-old. And after I saw the 2-year-old and did the physical, they were there for a well checkup. The dad just looked at me like, what do I do with this? For a 2-year-old. I knew exactly what he meant, right? The 2-year-old's not doing everything that he's supposed to be doing so they can get done what they need to get done. Like, how do I make him behave? Well, is he really misbehaving or is he just being 2, right? So we don't want to parent with faulty expectations, right? And then say to him, you're misbehaving when really he's just being 2. Right? He's pushing his boundaries. He's trying to discover and be curious about the world, right? And so he's getting into everything. I also looked over and they have a new baby in the house. So that 2-year-old is really trying to get his needs met. He's not sure what he's feeling. So he is acting out. He's being a little aggressive. But here's this strange person now in this home. I don't know how to act. I don't know how I even feel about that. Kids don't have the vocabulary for that, right? Many times can you say as adults, we don't have the vocabulary for what's going on the inside of us. I don't know why I reacted like that when that person said that yesterday. I said that to myself, in fact. Could you have just said this? Why did you have to say this? Because it was just ego or a reaction. So behavior is complex. So let's be careful, parents, what we say to kids. We know words stick. They go deep. You can't always retrieve them back. In the relationship as a husband and wife, as co-workers, life is all about relationships, whether that be friends, parenting, that relationship. Our words matter in all our relationships. So I would say, because my passion is helping parents understand the power of their words for children, let's learn to use our words to build children up, to encourage them, to point out their strengths. Parents, do you realize your words are what give identity, who they are to your children? When you say, you're strong, Johnny, you got this. We're going to do this together. I know it's a little scary, but I got this with you. We're in this. We're a team. As a family, we're a team. So you don't have to do this alone, right? So our words can be so powerful. Point out their strengths. Say what they're good at. I think in the moment by moment of parenting and life, we tend to point out everything they're doing wrong, right, with our words. And we can be demeaning and reactive, right? So it's, don't be stupid. Pick that up. Why do you think you could color on the wall? Don't be so dramatic. You're a slowpoke. You're irritating. Don't be a wuss. That's my biggest, I don't know. I don't like that. Don't tell boys that. I don't think that's helpful for them. If they're crying, to call them names, right? We do it out of the stress of life. But I would love to challenge all of us, myself included, to let's be intentional with our words. What does that take? It takes self-control. It takes pulling in the emotions, taking a deep breath, and being intentional with our words. Children are very sensitive. I get what we're really trying to do with our words for kids is control them. Right? I need you to do what I need you to do because we have an agenda, we have a plan, and they're right things to do, but they may not have the ability to think all that through at the age that they're at. Though I think we have to be careful with words, are shaming them. That sometimes I think if we shame them, I can't believe you're still doing that at 12. You used to do that when you were 9. That's shame. We think that's going to cause them to grow. I've been guilty of this in relationships, shaming, thinking that's going to want them to change. that just distances the relationship and disconnects the relationship. Our goal with parent-child is to keep that relationship valued. We want to cherish that relationship, so our words matter. The other thing that I don't think we think about the power of is sarcasm. Sarcasm can be fun when you're just kind of throwing it around, but sometimes it can be passive aggressive. So sometimes somebody says, they'll say something harsh, but then they go, I'm just kidding. Or they say it's sarcastic, but then it makes you wonder, did they really mean that? I bet they really thought that. I bet they just don't like the conflict that the truth that they're thinking would bring about. So if I say it and then say I'm kidding, it gives a different connotation of it. So I don't think sarcasm is always productive. I think it disconnects because it leaves you wondering, are they serious? Do they really mean that? So I don't feel like it's productive. So there again, we want our words to be intentional and productive, to bring health and healing, right? So I love this book. I am reading this and studying this for my patients and as well as for myself. Joanna Faber and Julie King. It's How to Talk When Kids Won't Listen. So when they're whining, they're fighting, they're having meltdowns, they're defiant, and then a lot of other childhood challenges are all through here. So I've been studying it so that I can share it with you, and it's been pretty powerful. I want to share one quote that a patient sent me that I thought was so good. Yeah, this is really good. So growing up with parents who can regulate their own emotions is the less talked about form of generational wealth. If you didn't have someone who could see and hold your space for your big feelings and co-regulate with you, you're likely still learning to navigate these skills in adulthood. So there again, no guilt if you think, oh my gosh, I have spoken so harsh to my kids. I've spoken unkind things. There's always grace, right? There's always growth. Mental and emotional health is a lifelong process, right? None of us will ever arrive at perfect health, right? But that can be the goal. Words we speak out loud about ourselves in front of the kids are important. What do we say about ourselves? Oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. Oh, that was ridiculous. So things we say about ourselves, our kids hear that. It's so important because they're going to repeat it about themselves. So we got to be careful what we say about ourselves, what we say about husbands and wives. You got to be careful how you speak to each other. It's very important. The kids watch that. We know they copy what they see, not always what they hear, right? So what we say to them and tell them how to act, it's not always what they're going to do. They're going to copy what they see and what they observe. So it's important how you talk to your partner in life, how you talk to your husband and wife, how you talk to your friends. The other thing is when you leave a social setting, what are some of the things that you say about it? Are you critiquing different people? Are you judging different people? Kids pick up on that. So I think it's important. Yes, we need to be able to have places that we can be honest and real, right? So you'll find those friends, and there'll be times where you say to your kids, maybe things that hurt you or made you unhappy in that social setting, but it's all in how we share it. I think that matters a lot. Just remember, words create. We're always creating an environment. What do you bring to the environment when you show up? We need to teach kids this. What do you bring into the classroom? How do other kids see you? Are you happy or are you always moping? Are you always saying negative things? Kids need to know your presence matters. How are you showing up in life? When you go to a social setting, even if you're more reserved and introverted, even if you're maybe shy, you can still come in with a smile. A smile does a lot. It breaks down walls. So you can teach young people, smile when you walk into an atmosphere and you're uncomfortable. That's going to bring warmth. That's going to bring connectiveness. That's what they're all looking for. All right, so let's jump into the book because I think this has been it's been eye-opening for me as well. So in chapter 1, they really talk about dealing with feelings. So many times, and I've said this on other podcasts, we need to look for the feelings behind the behavior. Stay curious about. I wonder why they're acting out of this. Or even I wonder why they just said that so harshly. They sound like they're probably hurt. They're probably just venting. So these are just some of the ways that, they say in here, so why is so many times that we try to calm our kids down with words, and yet that seems to escalate it. That seems to irritate them more. And I think it's because some of our strategies are a little off. So these are some strategies that they talk about in here. We'll first go through ways that we probably would not be helpful, the way we communicate with the kids. So they give an example. A child goes to the teacher, and she said, I lost my tooth. I brought it to school this morning, and now it's gone. And the teacher says back, that's nothing to cry about. You have plenty of more baby teeth. So they're saying, this is what the teacher's going to say. Now that's truth, right? But here's what the child hears. Your feelings are unacceptable. There's something wrong with you, right? Or, I shouldn't have brought my tooth. So sometimes things that we say, or we give advice, we give helpful suggestions. When the next tooth falls out, you should keep that one at home. So perhaps the child is feeling or hearing, you can't figure out the simplest things for yourself. We know words don't always communicate what we want them to, right? So this is why we want to be intentional. Yes. When kids come home from school and they've had a hard day, and they might be in a negative mode, we don't really know what goes on in their day. So let's be gentle with our words. Here's some reminders that they say. Dealing with feelings. Here's things that we can say. Acknowledge feelings with words. So it's not easy always having a little brother around. Sounds like this assignment is overwhelming. There's so many parts to it, it's hard to know where to start. There again, you're bringing connection. I'm connecting with your feeling. I'm not trying to fix you immediately, right? Another way to acknowledge feelings with writing. So depending on the age of the child, you're going to figure out which one of these skills will really work to help connect, right? So that they know that you understand their feelings, or you want to understand their feelings. This is the other one in writing. You were looking forward to eating a granola bar. Let's write it on a shopping list. I thought that was a great idea. You have a lot on your mind. Tell me your worries and I'll write them down. I thought that was great. Acknowledge feelings with art. So some kids, they don't have the vocabulary, right? This 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old that I was seeing the other day, they really can't express what they're thinking and feeling. But they say use art. So get the child to write. So that can make a person feel sad. You're acknowledging. That could make you feel sad. Do you want to draw tears on this picture? Let's draw a stick figure. Show me how you felt when that was said or that was done, or show me how you feel. You really miss your mom. Let's draw a picture of her. So I had a patient come in yesterday, and this couple's trying to figure out with their 3-year-old. Dad travels a lot, and so he's gone 2 weeks out of the month. And so with mom, then when dad comes home, the child really doesn't want to be a part of with him. She doesn't really know him. So it's been very challenging to figure out. And then she's acting out in some other behaviors, and we're trying to figure out where that's coming from. So I suggested to them yesterday is getting her to draw. Let's draw a picture of daddy. Let's draw a picture of mom. And what do you see going on here? Now she's 3. But maybe she can draw something that would clue you into what she's thinking and feeling. She doesn't know what she's thinking or feeling, right? She just knows this is awkward. I don't really know you. You come in for 2 weeks and you don't. So many scenarios they're in. There again, your child's in daycare all day. They come home and they're a little bit of a mess. We don't know what they've experienced with other kids. So it's being patient, not jumping to conclusions and always trying to fix it. They also talk about give in fantasy what you can't give in reality. I thought this was good. So I wish I had a magic wand. I'll make the sun come out right now. This was about a little guy that wanted to go swimming, but it was winter. So we know you're not going to go swimming. I can't make that happen. No matter how many times you tell them the pool's closed, it's winter. It just doesn't make sense to their brain. They just want to go play and they want to go swim. So instead of just arguing and making that a battle, You kind of go into fantasy with them. Okay, I have a wand. I want to make the sun come out. I'm going to make this pool nice and warm. And so you get into this theatrical fantasy land with them, and it brings out, then they'll kind of lighten up, and maybe then they can tell you what they feel and think. The other thing is you can acknowledge feelings with almost silent attention. So it's just, Sally was so mean to me today at school. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sally just didn't blah, blah, blah. Whatever they're saying, it's negative, it's harsh. What if we just said, wow, that seems tough. Wow. So sometimes we don't have to have words. I know when I share things with people, sometimes I just want them to listen, right? It might, and I've said this before, because I did grow up in a negative environment. Sometimes my initial reaction is going to be kind of harsh, and I have all these feelings and I just want to get them out. And I can tell you, my dearest friend, Mary Ann, we became really close because I was in a really hard season of life, and she could just listen. She could just listen. She didn't have to say, oh, don't say that. She didn't react to some of my negative thoughts. She knew I would get to the positive and I would turn it around. She didn't have to fix me out of fear of where those words were going to take me, that attitude was going to take me. She could just love me for who I was in that moment. And I tell you, we became dear friends because she's like that with everybody. She can just listen. She doesn't have to fix. Many times, adults, even in our adult relationships, we don't allow people just the space of safety to just say what they're thinking and feeling because we want to fix them. Many times, other people's pain, we want to put them out of their pain, and that's why we want to fix them. But their pain hurts us, and that's why we want to fix. That's a lot of times why you say, don't fix me. But it's really, your pain hurts me. So if we really think that through, sometimes it's selfish to always want to fix everybody around us. We want control. I want to take you out of your pain, but a lot of times pain and suffering is what leads us to recognizing my life's not working. What I'm doing, how I'm acting in life is not working. I need to find another way, and that leads us to growth. And for those that maybe don't know God, perhaps that will lead them to realize, you know what, my life's not working my way. I think I need God in my life. So many times it's important that we don't try to fix people, that we just learn to love them and just listen and not always have to use our words. If they ask for advice, I usually want advice, but I think you have to wait until that's asked for, right? Until their heart's ready to receive and they realize they're not being judged. And it's usually, I think, making suggestions. Could it be this? Stay curious about their behavior. You really don't know what would work for them. It's just what's worked for you. This worked for me. I wonder if that would work for you. We don't have to be a know-it-all. We really don't know always what's best for everybody else. Does that make sense? Yes? Let's create self-confidence in our children to set them up for success. Life is all about relationships. So their words are important because it'll build and connect them with people, or it'll distance them with people. So very important. So glad you joined this podcast today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.